A sabbatical can be a wonderful time to volunteer for things that you may not have been able to experience in your professional life. And volunteering appeals to a lot of us, particularly as we get later and further in our careers, because we recognize that we have a lot left to give back. We have a lot of experience to draw on, and we have a lot of skills that we can share with people who are going through similar things or anticipating going through that. So it's a chance to really give back. And my experience on my sabbatical generally confirms that that's the case. But I've also learned that volunteering is not synonymous with meaning or purpose, because you can volunteer for things that don't have a lot of meaning for you and don't give you a lot of purpose. So today I would like to talk a little bit about some of the pitfalls that you might encounter if you look for volunteering opportunities on a sabbatical and how you can avoid them. The first pitfall is that you find a place with the right mission, but the role is the wrong fit. Organizations all have a pretty clearly defined role for employees, people they're going to pay to do things. And if they have a volunteering element, they have fairly clearly defined roles for the volunteers. And this is important to know because if someone is being paid to do work in an organization, you are very unlikely to have an opportunity to volunteer to do the same work. In fact, I think it's illegal, but I haven't really checked. This really came home to me in the first thing I explored when I was looking at volunteering. You see, I love books, I love reading, and I love libraries. So my first thought was, I'll go volunteer at the library. I did a little research, figured out what kinds of roles they had, and I found one that looked appealing to me. You see, I also love bookstores, and my library had a small bookstore. They sell books, they sell merch that is branded with the library's logo, and they use that to raise funding for the institution. Having discovered that, I went down and I started talking to some of the people there who were working at the store. And I found them really interesting. We had a lot in common. We had a great conversation. They really encouraged me to come down and volunteer because they said it was a lot of fun and they really liked it. And when I left, I thought, yeah, done deal. That's what I'm going to do. But as I reflected over the next couple of days, I found myself realizing that really wasn't what I wanted to do. And I think the reason had a lot to do with the fact that I'm not really that interested in retail. I like going to stores, but I've never felt like I wanted to be behind the counter, ringing people up, answering questions. So I decided not to pursue that opportunity. Fortunately, having met the people working behind the counter, I knew that I left that store in very good hands. Another thing that will come up when you think about volunteering is how long do you want to volunteer for? What's your level of commitment? And this isn't just hours per day. This is the length of your relationship. A good way to think about this is in terms of a poem that you may already know. And it's called A Reason, a Season, or a Lifetime. And the poem is all about how people may come into your life for a reason, and they may, once that reason is fulfilled, leave your life relatively soon. Or they may come for a season. Or, in some cases, when the connection is really strong, they may be there for a lifetime. Now, the same, I think, is true of volunteering. You may volunteer in an organization for a reason, you may volunteer for a season, or you may volunteer for a lifetime. I volunteered at one point to be a mentor for students in a program at the university, and these students were in the early stages of starting up entrepreneurial ventures. And they would apply to the program. Once they were admitted to the program, they would be assigned to mentors like myself. And first round of this, I was assigned to a couple of different startups. We would meet regularly. I would listen to their challenges, what they were trying to deal with, offer advice, tips, mentorship in general. And I found it very satisfying. I loved working with the people. It was great. And then at the end of the semester, they would all wrap up and go on, and that cohort would be finished. And the next semester, another cohort would come in. Same process. I did this for a few iterations, and though I was enjoying it, I found myself thinking, yeah, it's about time to be done with this and move on. You see, it was something that was good for a season. It wasn't really lasting forever. I think a lot of it for myself had to do with the episodic nature of it. because I was really looking for something that had more of a long-term relationship where I'd be able to grow in different roles. I was looking for that volunteer opportunity that was a lifetime of commitment. And I did wind up finding one, and it was actually right in front of me the whole time. You see, all through this time, I had been going to a Toastmasters club to develop my public speaking skills, my leadership skills, and the like. And I found that it was a group of people I resonated with. I enjoyed them, many of them become friends, and so I decided I was going to start volunteering there. First, I volunteered as the vice president of membership. I've been a vice president of education for a club. I've been the president of my club. And recently, I have begun volunteering as a mentor to a new club that is starting up in the city. And in Toastmasters, there's an essentially infinite opportunity for growth because it's, from my perspective at least, entirely volunteer run. I know there's a professional organization at the core of it, but everyone I meet is a volunteer. You can volunteer at the club level, you can volunteer at the district level, you can volunteer at the international level. In fact, the international director who oversees, I think it's about 14,000 clubs now around the world, is a volunteer. So there's an opportunity there for a lifetime of growth. And that leaves me with a few tips that I'd like to leave you with. And the first one is, when you think about volunteering, the most important thing is to find a place whose mission resonates with you. So look around and look at what things that you're already doing. It's quite likely that some organization that you're already involved with, perhaps your kid's school, maybe your library, maybe your Toastmasters club, has roles that they need volunteers to fill. And when you find one that fits, look at what the roles actually are. Because as I said, organizations have their paid employees to do a lot of the work. Those things are not likely to be available as volunteer roles, but they will have specific things they want volunteers to do. Figure out what those are, see if some of those look good to you. If one or two do, meet some of those volunteers. Go out and talk to them, get to know what they do, how much time commitment they have, any question that you have about the volunteering. Kind of try it on for size, give it something you'd like to do. And if it passes all those tests, try it out. Conduct a little experiment. Volunteer for a short time. The people that are running these organizations know that not everyone's going to be there for a long time, and they're willing to be flexible and give you some chance to try things out before you commit to a longer term. So try it out. You may find that you want to volunteer there for a reason. You may find you want to volunteer there for a season. Or, if you're very lucky and they're lucky, you'll find you want to volunteer there for a lifetime. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a little something. And I'll look forward to talking to you in the next video.